All right, good afternoon, traders. Today is October 21st, 2025. My name is John Carignan. I am the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. That is the day trading service for the hit and run candlesticks family. I want to thank everybody out there in podcast land, digiland, cyberland, as well as my paying subscribers here with me today. Sorry, but SPY and QQQ are just nothing but chop today. Was not an easy day. It was part of a bull flag, which we all know how to trade bull flags, but really just never got going anywhere today. But made $1,600 on a 29K account. All right, so let's take a look at SPY. All right, on the 10-minute, what do we got coming into the close? I'm just going to call it bullish 10-minute consolidation because it's really just a continuation of everything we got going on here. And it's still up over VWAP. And, it's just moving to the right, waiting for Netflix to report probably tonight. So there's 10-minute bullish consolidation. I'm not going to call it an uptrend or a downtrend. I mean, we only got this is the last candle. All right, just one candle. So it's just consolidation. On the 2-hour chart, still got 2-hour uptrend. We've got price, the 3 EMA riding up over the 8. The 8's riding up over the 17, and the candles are positioned pretty much right on top of the 3 EMA. So 2-hour uptrend right there, and 10-minute bullish consolidation. Kind of almost deja vu to yesterday. All right, on the daily chart, we're in it. We're in an uptrend because we made a high here and we made a higher high yesterday. We were showing a bearish head and shoulders before these 2 days showed up. You had the head here, left shoulder, and right shoulder. We were showing a bearish head and shoulders, but then they turn around and close candles in the upper third of the big Trump pullback. All right, so there's SPY today. Higher low, higher high. That's bullish. Closing over the bullish trap, that's bullish. Over the 17 EMA, that's bullish. We're in an uptrend, that's bullish. We're at the top of quadrant 4, that's bullish. And we're in an uptrend. So there's SPY on the daily chart. Weekly chart, still uptrend. Monthly chart, still obviously uptrend right there. Okay, so things still in uptrends. Okay, just moving over to the right. So price is kind of winding up. All right. So how do we trade today? Was not easy. Basically, we were watching for a breakout because we had kind of a bullish bias coming in over here. We had a 10-minute uptrend, and then they started a little 10-minute downtrend, pulling back to VWAP. They did break. They didn't they just barely broke the rubber band candle. You notice here was the close of the body of that rubber band candle, and you can see just barely by a penny. And then, of course, you got the bullish engulfing right after that. So no downtrend ever really got developed. All right, then we had a 10-minute uptrend right up through here that really never got going with a big M pattern right up here. And in price action, again, we fell out of the sky here after some news of trade negotiations being delayed. So at 1 o'clock we had a big dip. And then looks like the bulls bought the rally back up. And we've been holding up over VWAP for the rest of the day so far. So there's 10-minute. Was a very difficult day on these bull flag days. For me, it's best for me when I trade these bull flags like this. See if my learning tools or my drawing tools come up. Here we go. All right, so I like to trade these days in this direction. All right, if it's a bull flag. So I traded from here up and then from here up. And I was looking for follow through and I never got it. Okay. And then from here up, okay. That's a bull flag because we zoom out. All right, if you see, if I zoom out here, you can see where price just goes straight across right here, right along 672. All right, so with a nice 10-minute flat bullish flag right through there. Okay, so there's SPY. Let's take a look at QQQ. QQQ on 10 minutes, same bullish consolidation up over VWAP. Again, we were looking for a continuation of 10-minute uptrend. All we got was just some chop and slop. Anytime you see price crisscross back and forth over VWAP, 2-3 times before noon, you're just probably in for a chop day. Just mark off the highs and the lows and wait for the breakouts. So there was a high right here, and then of course here was the low down here. Look at all these tails develop right through there, and then you got bullish engulfing here, and then you got bullish engulfing there. So just mark it off and wait for the breakout. That's what we're waiting for. So there's QQQ bullish consolidation on the 10-minute chart. On the 2-hour chart, we got 2-hour uptrend. You can see daylight between the 3 EMA and the 8 EMA rising up over the 17 EMA. Continuation of that 2-hour uptrend. On the daily chart, they are up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. They sure made a test on it yesterday. Now, I don't know if they got higher today. Today's high was 612.80. Yes, that was yesterday's high. 612.72. So again, failure to make a higher high. Now I said this was a clue. All right, I said this was a clue this morning, and then I'm going to tell you got another clue again today, in that price just failing to make the higher high, and we're only pennies away. Because look, this is the all-time high. That is 613.18, and you can see right here 612.80. All right, we're not that far away that we couldn't ink out a new all-time high with a little bit of effort, boys. All right, and they just failed twice right here. That's not a good sign. All right, failing twice and being so close right up there on the daily chart. So daily chart's still in an uptrend because they never got in a downtrend. So they're in an uptrend. Weekly chart still in an uptrend. You can see from the low up there to the highs. Okay, and then monthly chart obviously still in an uptrend. Look at all the green dots, and you can see the price riding on top of the 3 all the way up here to the all-time highs up there. So QQQ SPY, again, my favorite trade is 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. All right. That resides inside 2-hour uptrend, whether it's QQQ or SPY. That lives inside of a daily uptrend, inside of a monthly uptrend, inside of a weekly uptrend that lives inside of a monthly uptrend. Okay, so I got all the bigger time frames supporting my uptrend right there. Okay, so you can see right now we had a 10-minute uptrend, but it was brief and very short-lived. Okay, which another crack that has got revealed recently. So there's QQQ, still bullish, still in an uptrend on QQQ. Okay, you can see at the top of quadrant 4. I'll zoom way out. So that's still bullish and still in an uptrend. QQQ and SPY in an uptrend because they made a higher high. Let's take a look at FNGU. Okay, FNGU, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17 EMA up here, over the consolidation. That's nice, but last time we were up there, we gave it up. We're back up there again today, and we didn't give it up, but we got the same candle we did before we got this candle right here. So here's price action up here again. FNGU is in a downtrend, right? They have to take out this high in order to negate the downtrend. Okay, so they got to take out that high right there. All right, they haven't done it yet. They're still struggling. So they're in a downtrend that's not moving down, and they're all the way up here at the top of quadrant 4. That's bullish, and they're in a bull flag up here. Okay, so that's bullish and in a downtrend that's not working. we have wiped out the big red candle on the SPY daily. Yes, we almost did, not quite for hard. Green erases red entry on the daily. Yes, that would be price up over the top of that wick on SPY. Again, over the top of that, right over the top of this right here. Take out today's high and there's an entry right there. All right, right over 673. All right, that would be a green erases red entry for tomorrow. All right, we'll see. So there's the daily chart. Okay, SPY. Again, bullish and in an uptrend. FNGU is bullish, but not in an uptrend. But the downtrend is not working. Okay, I could really just call it consolidation. Okay, daily consolidation, no trend at all, no uptrend, no downtrend, just moving to the right there. So that's FNGU. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. All right, Diamond Dow inks out a new all-time high today in the midst of all this junk that we experience in QQQ and SPY. All right, so, or, uneventful price action, I'll just call it like that. Diamond Dow new all-time high, so it doesn't get any better than that. That's bullish and in an uptrend right there. Diamond Dow. IWM. IWM still in an uptrend. They were, still in an uptrend. And price action, top of quadrant 4, that's bullish and in an uptrend. Price candle for today is, well, let's just see what the high is. The high is 248.37. The high is 248.33. So higher high, lower low, outside day, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. Again, top of quadrant 4, up here near the highs, and in an uptrend for IWM. GLD took a big tumble today. A lower high, lower low, closing under a bullish trap, but over the rising 17. Still up there in the middle of quadrant 4, so that's still bullish. That's still in an uptrend on gold. All right, so gold has to come all the way down here to start a downtrend, and I don't think it's going to get down there. I think it puts in, a higher low long before it gets here, and a lower high, and then long before it ever gets down here to this candle below the 17. But anyways, middle of quadrant 4, that's bullish up there near the top, and still in an uptrend even with that big ugly red candle. There's gold. Let's take a look at silver. Silver got the same candle, lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish cross and under the 17. Still up there in quadrant 4, that's bullish, and still in an uptrend. We're just pulling back in the uptrend that we have. Again, silver has to come all the way down here and take out this red candle down there. This is the first one that lies below the 17 EMA right there. So Netflix earnings missed. Thank you, JW, for sharing that. And let's take a look at USO, which has not been impressive the past few days. Today we got a higher low and a higher high, but we closed inside a bearish trap under the 17, still in a downtrend, still in the lower third, so that's still bearish and in a downtrend for USO. I'll zoom out. Up here would be bullish. Down here would be bearish. They close down here. That's bearish. And they're in a downtrend because they got a high. There's a lower high. You can see it pop over the 17 EMA there. There's a low. There's a low. There's a low. There's a lower low. Okay, so USO in a downtrend and bearish down here in the lower third. UNG also downtrend and bearish. Unless they take out this high over here, they could negate the downtrend. So currently in a downtrend, but not moving down. Price candle today, higher low, higher high, closing over bullish trap over the 17 EMA. Down here at the bottom of quadrant 1, in the middle of quadrant 1, and still in a downtrend. So it's bearish and in a downtrend for UNG. All right, let's take a look at technicals. Technicals start off with T21 21.01. Now, I had hope for this yesterday in that all this price action that we had in T21.01, which was some really funky price action. I've never seen that before in T21.01. But anyways, the markets were making higher highs from the rally, and yet T21 was making higher highs as well. You see, making a higher high as well, making it showing bullish participation, really. And I had hope. Well, we did a little bit higher today, and lo and behold, that participation did not show up today, and yet the market did move slightly higher in SPY and QQQ, as well as FNGU. All right, so again, we did not make a higher high in the participation market breadth index here. So not what I wanted to see. Not at all. I want to see more participation. Maybe it comes tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. That's T21.01. We're starting to see cracks. This is one of the cracks, because that's something that I've never seen before, which could indicate a change in behavior. All right. That's obviously not. I mean, I'm just going to zoom out, and you can look at that. And we can look back, see how far back I can go. Okay, I don't want to go too far back, but you can see in all of September, all of October, pretty much all of August, this kind of price action does not show up, okay? Does not show up. So that... I've seen it before where you can see market makers or participants, flipping price back and forth while they load up on puts just before they crush it. Okay, so we'll see what happens. There's T21.01. You can actually see it in the price action and looking at the data, the way that they manipulate the market, so that because they need an uptick. I don't know if there still is the uptick rule. But there was when I was trading before, and I could see that they did create the uptick so that they could short the market. That was the uptick rule. It had to be in an uptick in order for you to short the market. Okay, so maybe this is some version of the uptick rule or the uptick behavior that they're so used to doing before they crush it. All right, just saying, I don't know, but that's definitely something new that I've never, ever seen before. So, T21.22, okay? And here it was at the beginning of the day. I thought for sure we would have opened up in the buy zone with this big wind-up we had. Well, we did not. We came down here, visited the midpoint, and then we stayed we camped out the rest of the day inside of the buyer's chop zone, okay? So that's kind of bullish, all right, in that we didn't give up the higher ground, all right, but we didn't go anywhere, so we just kind of wound up even tighter, all right. So I think we get a big breakout either tonight or tomorrow morning. So there's T21.22, and that would be the 4-week new high, new low ratio, all right. That's T21.22. T21.23. In an uptrend, because you can obviously see here's a low, and they made higher highs right here. So you got highs, and they made higher highs, so they're in an uptrend. I needed to see them on top of the 200 SMA. Maybe they get there tomorrow morning. We'll see. But I kind of needed them up there, and they didn't quite make it. All right, just didn't quite make it. So they're still stuck from the vantage point of the all-time high. You can see that from that point of view, they're still in the lower third. All right, they're still in quadrant 1. All right, they might be in an uptrend, but I'm just going to say that uptrend does not look robust. And I also want to point out this 15-minute uptrend. This does not have the pitch, all right, that this has right here. This is a very flat pitch. This is a more steep pitch, okay, and showing me a lack of bulls or a lack of conviction or maybe both. All right, on T2123. Yes, we're in an uptrend right there, but this does not look robust at all. All right, and then here we are still caught underneath the 200 SMA on the 15-minute chart. Let's take a look at the 3-bar chart. Okay, we still find ourselves yet again underneath the 200 SMA. And from the bigger picture, you can see we're still in quadrant 1. And we're still in a downtrend on the 3-bar chart because we made a low, made a lower low. So we're in a downtrend on the 3-bar chart. From the perspective of the bigger picture, okay, you can see this would be the low. This would be the all-time high. We're still up here in quadrant 4. So that's bullish. All right, and we got a 15-minute uptrend, but the downtrend on the bigger time frame, which rules, all right, over the smaller time frame, is still in a downtrend there on the 3-bar chart. All right, let's take a look at FNGU, showing me some signs of cracking again right there in that. And again on T2122, again, again cracks here. We're not making it into the buy zone, and you saw on QQQ we got within 10-20 cents of making new all-time highs, and they couldn't complete the task 2 days in a row. Like, come on. All right, so let's take a look at FNGU. Big dip on this candle. I think that's the Netflix candle anyways. Today that was a bullish hold up there all day over VWAP. That was looking good. It was really looking good. Maybe we J-hook off of 200 SMA. Maybe. All right, we'll see what happens, okay? This is just preliminary flinching is what you got here, okay? This is preliminary flinching. You never know till the market opens up tomorrow morning whether investors are bailing on it or they're just kind of creating opportunity to get the weaker hands to give up, okay? But this is FNGU. That's bullish up there, consolidating over prior consolidation. And I can map that out. You can see right here for the most part. All right, consolidation right there. It's a big wide range, I know. And then we've got up here in the 20th and the 21st, you can see right down to this candle low right there. You can see we've got consolidation over prior consolidation. That is a bullish bias. That is a bullish environment. That's bullish outlook right there. Now, question is, are they giving it up and they're going to wind up right back in this consolidation again? Because that would then create the head and shoulders pattern. If not, we might already have one going on right here. All right, so we'll see, and a failure to decapitate the head up there. So we'll see what happens. FNGU kind of going up and giving it up right there. Over the 200 was bullish. Consolidating at the highs was bullish. Closing over VWAP for the day was bullish. And on the 15-minute chart, you can see clearly we were making some higher highs up here. So that was bullish as well. But just couldn't get a breakout any higher. But it was definitely holding and consolidating. So there's a chance they race this back up, maybe by 6 o'clock. We'll see. All right, so there's FNGU in an uptrend and acting bullish until the Netflix candle right there. All right, traders. First time in 8 quarters. I remember they missed one time a while back, and it was due to a slowdown. Tex wrote, first time in 8 quarters that Netflix misses earnings. And I remember one year, I don't know if they missed earnings. I think they got the earnings, or I know there was a slowdown in the subscription growth rate. And there was a sell-off. And let me just say, it got bought up by the bulls. All right. So, we'll see what happens. All right. They could come out and say, things are just looking good. We were just going through some growing pains. And, and the market comes right back up and buys it all up tomorrow. We don't know. We'll see what happens. This is just a preliminary reaction to an action. And the action was a release of the earnings, and the reaction is we don't like them and we're selling. Okay? So, all in all, I mean, come on. We were only at $30 here. And how far did we drop? 50 cents. That's 1% drop. That is, or maybe 1.5%, let's call it 2%, all right? Be a little safe, 2% drop, okay, on an earnings miss is not bad at all. And the spread just opened up again from 30 all the way to 29.5. So, I mean, they could be back up here within a couple candles. So we'll see what happens. Netflix dropped 6%. Well, I'm showing it right here. Oh, that's FNGU. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yep, I was looking at the wrong one. I was really looking at the wrong one. So FNGU lost 2%. Netflix lost 6%. Yep. All right, so right there. Tax disputes with Brazil and the earnings and stuff. Okay. I'm sure they'll get it. They'll get it all solved. They did in the past. This is not something new for them. They'll figure it out, and they will be back on top. Look, people like their programming. There's no question about it. Okay, it's not going to take them much to fix their formula. I think. All right, subscriptions might be down a little bit, but all in all, I think there's nothing is broken for Netflix that I know of. I haven't heard of anything, but I just think they've fixed things like this before, and I know that they'll do it again. Yeah. He may re-up his subs. Now the next earnings are pretty same. Yeah. Anyways, that's it for me. I'll see everybody tomorrow. Oh, how I made money today. Again, I was just trading the bull flag on today's price action because we got SPY. All right, 10 minute. Let's look at the 10 minute. All right, so you can see 10 minute bull flag right there. I mean, come on, we basically go up and over to the right. So, whenever I get these bull flags, all right, I trade them like this. Well, let's try it one more time. I trade them like this. That's it. That's what I trade them. I pick off the lows and trade it back up to the highs. That's how I trade them on a bull flag. All day long. As long as they continue till they break out. All right? They're either going to break out to the upside or down. So that's how I trade them. And what did I make for today? I think I said 1,600. And let me drag this over. Let's try one more time. Here we go. All right, so $12 on some 675 calls. Obviously, I'm holding those. Okay, you can see where I bought and I sold into strength right there. Bought and sold into, see this, the height into strength, and then reloaded right there. $81 on some 674 zero DTEs. Again, I bought, bringing my average down, and sold into strength as price popped into that peak right there. Lost $3 on these puts right here. They were zero DTE. It kind of looked like we were going to break down right through here after the Trump tweet about President Z or Commander Z. I don't know. He likes to show off his army pretty often, kind of like the same guy in North Korea. You know what I'm talking about? You know, they like to flex the military might. So, anyways, after we heard about Commander Z, you know, I bought a put right there, just one, and I lost $3 on that. $113 here. Again, trading the lows of the option candles in this 10-minute uptrend and selling off into strength up top here. Trading the lows and selling off into strength right there. And then I gave up that. Remember, these expire at 4:15 today, so I mean it's not worth it to hold them into the close. It's best just to bail on them. Usually when the momentum dies, because all they do is decay. And it's very, very difficult to get out of them once they start to decay. You actually have to keep doubling down and consistently in order to get out at even a break even. Is you have to consistently just double down until you can finally hope for a little mini rally or a pullback. All right, for you to get out in those, and then 1400 on these calls. 0DTE 675. Obviously, this was the option of choice based on all of the volume that I participated with. Again, buying the lows, selling the highs. So of all these candles throughout the day, selling off into strength, selling off into strength, selling off into strength, and then just exiting the position and realizing that it's not going anywhere. They're just going to close it over here to the right. So that's it for me. There was not a very fun day for traders because I know if you made money, even if you made money today, it was difficult to make money. At least in SPY and QQQ. All right, was not easy, and it was not fun. All right, so it was possible, but it was not easy, and it was not fun. Yesterday, much easier and more fun. See that nice rise up there, and then over to the right. That was easier and more fun because you got a nice separation between the 3 and the 8. And the 8 and the rising 17 there as price rises up over VWAP. All right, that's it for me for today. See everybody tomorrow at 8 o'clock. We'll do it again. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.